And we are live. This is. Welcome to the Canada Hoops Daily Podcast, ladies and gents. What a wild game. My name is Sheldon Alexander. That game one of the NBA Finals was so crazy that we had to come up live. No, I'm joking. We were going to come up live anyways. Or maybe we weren't. I don't know. You'll never know. I guess you'll never know. But bottom line is game one of the NBA Finals is in the books. Tyrese Haliburton does it again. Another big-time shot from Haliburton as the OKC Thunder blow a 15-point fourth quarter lead. Haliburton hits a shot at the buzzer. Well, basically at the buzzer. There's 0.3 seconds left. Just what a wild finish to a game that I'm pretty sure there's probably people that went to bed already, or probably it's Thursday night. Maybe they went out and they're thinking that game was over. We missed it. It's over. OKC blowout. On to game two. No, that is not the case. Huge. Massive game, or massive ending anyways, for Tyrese Haliburton. As mentioned, this is Canada Hoops Daily Podcast. My name is Sheldon Alexander. Thank you for tuning in to this pod, wherever you might be listening to it. Maybe you're listening to it live right after the game. Maybe you're listening to it overnight. Maybe you're listening to it in the morning on your Friday morning commute. Either way, I appreciate you. I thank you for tuning in. I know the pod's we're hearing my voice in a bunch of different places lately, but we appreciate you rocking with us. The way to keep in touch, though, the main way, is follow me on the socials. That would be at Sheldon Alexander on Instagram and on YouTube. That's where you can find all the content. And of course, the app formerly known as Twitter, at Shell Alexander. Podcasts available on Apple and on Spotify and the aforementioned YouTube. And what a crazy night. Let's get some particulars out of the way here, because there's some like statistical stuff that's just kind of crazy that I feel like we should go through here. So 111, 110 is the final. And I just wonder how on earth did that even happen? OKC, I feel like OKC, we saw them do this against Denver, right? If you remember the Aaron Gordon game where Aaron Gordon hit the three off the Chetna missed free throw, and then they came down the floor. Aaron Gordon hit the game-winning three. And another same situation where OKC's up, but then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they just look really young out of nowhere. You know what I mean? And that game, I'm watching it, and you're watching the run late. And I got to be honest with you, I was wondering, like, don't they have timeouts? Isn't their coach going to, like, stop this run at some point? Because they were up by so much and the lead kept dwindling. And it just made no sense to me that there were no timeouts called all the way until basically we saw, basically like winning time, like the very end of the game. And that was so strange. Like, Dagno is going to leave this game with a timeout still in his pocket. And it's like, you blew a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter and you had timeouts, bro. Like, you could have tried to stop the run, because clearly to me, what it looked like was that OKC got really tired. Like, Shea didn't want the ball at certain points. He was giving the ball to Jalen Williams. And at certain points, like, they just couldn't get anything going at the very end of the game. They were running on fumes. But not only is your team tired down the stretch, but you also have a scenario where you're not calling any plays. And I get it. Listen, I'm the first one to say, end of the game, your best player, my best player, make plays, get to the free throw line, figure something out. And I get it. And for the majority of this game, basically, right, 47 minutes of this game, Shea was able to do that. But in winning time, they just fell short. They weren't able to make the buckets late down the stretch. Meanwhile, credit where credit is due. Nembhard hit a big time three to cut the lead. Yamans, who shouts to Bomani for perfectly summing up the difference between a big man and a tall man, right? Like, big man is like Isaiah Stewart. Big man is like Shaq. Tall man is Miles Turner, right? Understand the difference? Yeah. Miles Turner banked in a three. That was crazy, right? That obviously like kept the game close. Nemhard's crazy shot was insane. Nemhard was really running the offense late. And I mean, you had in this game Richard Jefferson talking about calling Haliburton a tour band because he was just disappearing, or tour dates because he was just disappearing and then obviously popping back up, announcing more tour dates, and then magically you'd see him again. Like, this game was insane. And then Haliburton, of course, they clear out. And listen, credit to their team for having the faith to not call a timeout late and just give the ball to Haliburton, let him bring the ball up the floor, and have him just try to win the game. Because most instances you're going to call a timeout. But after watching what Haliburton's done in this playoffs already to the Knicks, to the Pacers, to the Bucks, I don't really know what's going on. I don't know what the pep talks that Reggie Miller's been giving Tyrese Haliburton, right? But, I mean, Haliburton has been, we said Reggie Miller, but honestly, I don't think Reggie's had a playoff run like this with this many big-time shots in the same playoffs. But let me read some stats here just about how crazy this was. The Pacers in the playoffs have now, this is from Ben Gulliver on Twitter, says the Pacers have now cheated death 4 times in this year's playoffs. The Bucks had a 97.9 win percentage, up 7 points in the final 35 seconds. The Pacers won. The Cavaliers had a 95.9 win percentage, up 7 in the final minute. The Pacers won. The Knicks had a 99.7 win percentage, up 14 in the final 3 minutes of the game. The Pacers won. The Thunder had a 96.4 win percentage, up 9 in the final 3 minutes. Guess what? You just watched it. The Pacers won. That is just insane. Right? Like, sometimes, like, if you're doing the whole sports story thing, you'd be like, oh man, Pacers are a team of destiny. Pacers are a team of destiny, which is kind of crazy because obviously they're massive underdogs in this game, or in this series, pardon me, right? Like, nobody has the Pacers seriously winning the series. And even if you listen to, we did the gambling pod, right? I did the gambling pod for Clutch Points and the Clutch Picks pod. If you don't follow, you should follow. But in the gambling pod, I said, listen, 9.5 points. I think it got up to double digits before the game started, but 9.5 points was too many points for me. I was going to take the Pacers plus the 9.5 points, but I still thought OKC was going to win the game. And the reason being was because the way that Indiana plays, their offense just moves too quickly. They're going to put up points. It's tough to have them get blown out because the way that their offense plays, they keep pushing the ball. They keep getting more possessions. Eventually, they're going to hit shots. They're going to keep the game somewhat close. Like, it's very tough for them to get blown out. And we saw that in this game. Like, OKC was in total, absolute cruise control in this game. And it turns out to be one of those things where OKC's been in this spot already, because I mentioned what happened to Denver, where Denver wins that game. That could have been a heartbreaking one, right? Because you're watching OKC struggle in crunch time, and then obviously you lose on a devastating shot. And I mentioned the Chet missing field goals and all that fun stuff, right? Or missing free throws, pardon me, and all that fun stuff. But the point still remains that they regrouped, they figured it out, and they were able to come back and win the series, obviously. Now, this Pacers team, the thing that makes it a little different for this Pacers team, to me anyways, is the fact that the way that their offense plays, like the Nuggets, it was going to be Jokic or bust. That's what it was going to be, right? If Jokic wasn't going, like, putting in gangster work every single game, which he pretty much did, they still needed the others to do something, anything, right? But it was still like a half-court game. You still saw the Joker break down late, and the Joker would be tired, and it just wasn't the same. This Pacers team, the way that they play, right? They have so many guys who just keep shooting and shooting and shooting. And an unsung hero in this game who really they need to be thanking, who's not going to get a lot of credit, is Obi Toppin. Without Obi Toppin, they lose this game. Obi Toppin, 17 points. He hit 5 threes in this game. And it was weird because he started out his first run in the game. He was fumbling the ball. He's turning over the ball. And then all of a sudden, my man's just wetting threes. And when this game was 15 points, 12 points, whatever, Obi Toppin would hit a 3 to keep the game close. That's really the only reason they had a chance in this game. Like, you go through some of the stats here, and Haliburton, obviously that shot he hit is the biggest shot of the game, and it's a game winner, and we're going to see it all over the place again, and add to the resume of work that Haliburton has put in these playoffs, and rightfully so. But he had 14 points on 6 of 13 shooting in this game. Give him 10 rebounds and 6 assists. I don't know. That's not the stat line of what you'd expect from your best player in the NBA Finals, right? Pascal Siakam had 19 points, 10 rebounds. 19 points, 7 of 15 shooting again. Nothing crazy. But when you look across the board, you got double digits from your whole starting lineup. Andrew Nembhard and Obi Toppin made big-time shots down the stretch for these guys to keep the game close. And then at the end, your best player made a play for you. Now, do you want to fall behind Oklahoma City for that long? Probably not. But at the end of the day, this is what happened in this game. A massive, massive, crazy comeback that had OKC just, a devastating loss. The Pacers, again, were down by 15 points with 9:42 left, which matches the biggest fourth quarter comeback in a finals game since Dallas came back from 15 down to beat Miami on June 2nd, 2011. I actually remember that game. I remember where I was. I remember Dirk had the ball top of the key, got busy on Chris Bosh, gave him that work for a clutch bucket. I remember that. That is crazy. Crazy part of that too. Guess who coached that Dallas Mavericks team? Yes, Rick Carlisle. Who's the coach of the Pacers? The aforementioned Rick Carlisle. This is just weird. Like, my phone, this was one of those things where, the phone was kind of quiet. You have your regulars that are going to text during the NBA game because, like, that's the NBA heads that are like locked in and watching, definitely, and watching all the way through. But the amount of just what just happened or I'm confused texts that I got at the end of that game, as I was also confused because this game made no sense. Like, I have all these notes that I was going to come on here and talk about what happened to start off this game. And now it seems like, I don't even know what to say. And it's crazy because on the one hand, you have the crazy ending, and obviously the Pacers come back, they win the game. They've done it before. They'll, who knows if they'll do it again, because as I see a tweet from Caitlin Clark that says you can't make it up. Ha ha ha. It's just insane. It's actually insane. But my point is, what I was trying to say before I was distracted by Caitlin was, if you're the OKC Thunder, you still take away the fact that you dominated this game. If you're the Indiana Pacers, you take away from the fact, hey, we got lucky. We got to go back to the drawing board. We got to figure some things out. It's interesting, right? It's interesting. Now, Jason McIntyre puts up a shot chart here, and it says OKC didn't make a shot outside of the paint in the fourth quarter, up 15 at home. Yeah, that's a choke. There's a lot of things that I'm so curious about at the end of that game. I'd love to hear some comments from your man's Mark Dagno, just because I feel like if you are up by that much, you should obviously win the game. Like, that's the most obvious thing I could possibly say on a post-game recap, right? But what I mean by that is I was still very confused that as the game was getting closer and closer, there's no timeouts called. There's nothing that led to like, hey, let's call a timeout. Hey, let's try and figure this out. Hey, let's run a play and get someone an easy basket. Hey, maybe we go big. Like, we call a timeout and then we go big because we know we have that advantage if we play our two big guys. Like, there's just no adjustment made down the stretch. They just kind of let Shea and company try to figure it out. And I get it. I understand it. But that's an epic, epic loss. And the whole world was saying that OKC is a big time favorite. I don't know what their feelings were like within the room, like how confident they were. But I'll say this. This is a kick in the ass if you needed one. Like if you were feeling yourself a little too much, if you're OKC, if you're listening to the press clippings a little too much, and you're thinking, hey, we're going to walk in here, this is going to be a gentleman's sweep, whatever. We're going to win in 4. We're going to win in 5. This is a kick in the butt that you needed. But let's quickly go through this game because here's what I want to do on these post-game shows. And you guys know if you follow me from the Raptors stuff, I like going through what actually happened in the game and basing responses off of that, because that's more likely to tell you what's going to happen in the future, right? Like we're going to see the highlight of the Haliburton shot, and that's crazy, and that was really good and all of that. But I like getting into the ins and outs of, okay, well, what matchups worked in this game? What matchups didn't work? And that side of it. What style of play? What things need to change, for both teams going forward? That's what gets me. That's what is exciting for me. So let's start here, okay? That building in OKC, I feel so bad for them because that building was rocking. Right off the start of the game, that building was so loud, and it was so cool to see a rabid fan base like that cheering on their team, so passionate, so loud, so happy. I thought that was really dope. On top of that, though, the game starts and OKC comes out to a pretty solid run. And they switched up their starting lineup. They started Cason Wallace, Hartenstein coming off the bench. And it was interesting. Richard Jefferson said early on, the call with Doris Burke and Mike Breen, pardon me. I will say this, and I don't mean to knock Richard Jefferson and Doris Burke, but I do miss Van Gundy and Mark Jackson. Like the NBA Finals just felt bigger. And also, bring back the logos on the court. Remember in LA, they had like the curtains come down from the scoreboard, and then they would project like the images or the video on the white curtains, and then you'd see the player intros. Like that was hype. Where are the player intros? Where's all that? I want to see that. Build this up. Anyways, Richard Jefferson said that he thought it was a mistake for the OKC Thunder to switch their starting lineup and go small. He was basically saying that once you have the other team adjusting before the ball is already tipped, it's like a sign that you're already in their head. And I honestly disagreed. Like I thought that was kind of weird. And Mike Breen pointed it out right away. He said, well, Wallace started 43 times this season. So it's not like it's his first time starting. Right. And like, I don't know. I liked what it meant for the matchups because Chet can play Turner. Right. And then the other thing is when Indy plays their bench, well, Hartenstein has a huge advantage. And I think down the stretch, what you saw at the end of the game is both teams went small, right? Like no center was on the floor. Miles Turner wasn't on the floor. And at that point, I don't know if that's a good move for the Pacers, or not for Pacers, sorry, for the Thunder. I don't think if you're the Thunder, you want to do that because if Siakam's playing at the 5, I mean, he's going to be able to have his way in the paint, and he had a huge offensive rebound and put back late. I think you always want to have one of Chet or Hartenstein, if not both, late, especially here's where I think it's very interesting too, especially when your team's struggling on offense. What then becomes super important is the offensive rebounding. So many of the things that OKC did for the majority of the game, right? So to start off this game, it was all about turnovers. OKC's defense was swarming, and Indy just looked disheveled. And the talk early was, what do they do? Do they try to slow it down? Do they just, play how they play? And RJ was saying that he thought they should slow it down, which I also didn't think made sense. And I'm not picking on Richard Jefferson, even though there is another thing I want to talk about in terms of what Richard Jefferson said in this game. But I thought it was interesting, right? Because Haliburton, you just need your best players to play better. And Haliburton was driving, and the help defense was so good early on from the Thunder that every time someone drove the lane, hands, the help was coming and the hands were up and they were anticipating the passes, because most of the time OKC is not, I keep mixing up the teams. Most of the time Indy is not driving to score. They're driving to kick it out. And so if you anticipate that as a defense, I mean, a defense that's already hungry for steals, that's just what was going to happen, right? That first quarter, Hartenstein came off the bench and he was great. Obi Toppin, as mentioned, wasn't doing as great. Thomas Bryant also not doing great against Hartenstein early. The Pacers had more turnovers in the first quarter, 9, than they did made field goals, 8. That's not good. It was also the most turnovers India's had in any quarter this postseason. OKC was up 29-20 in that first quarter. Shea had 12 points. And I thought the dope part about Shea's game is he came out super, super aggressive. Like, he knew, I got to get my 30, even if it's not efficient. I just got to set the tone early, put points on the board, like take my big step into the NBA Finals. And I thought that was just cool. And it was cool also watching him go up against Andrew Nembhard, someone who they've been playing against each other since they were kids. And now they're doing it on the stage of the NBA Finals. That is cool as hell if you are a fan of basketball in the country of Canada. That was just super dope to see. But on top of that, let's go to the second quarter. Second quarter was about how many different guys can OKC play. It was the middle of the second quarter. They already had 11 dudes play minutes in the middle of the second quarter. That to me is a testament to what they do, right? And I know this is going to sound weird because I'm talking about what happened in the second quarter, and we know how the game ended. But again, it's more about figuring out, okay, well, what's going to work going forward? What's our game plan going forward? And I think the game plan from OKC is we play a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys that get in passing lanes, that play defense, that do all these things. And what it does when you play up all of those people, it allows you to demand that everyone plays hard. Everyone gets minutes, so you're not tired. You got to be fresh. You got to play hard. Again, the problem is what happened down the stretch. Everyone was tired. You see what I'm saying? Like, I used to talk about this a lot, right? The reason what made Kawhi Leonard so good was because you were able to make plays on both ends of the floor. So in crunch time, it wasn't just about hitting the big shot. It's about getting the big offensive rebound or defensive rebound. It was about, being able to make the big steal, the big defensive play, right? Like, how many of those highlights from that Raptors run, against the Bucks, is it Kawhi making the steal on Brogdon in overtime, right, to get the dunk, or Lowry making the steal and passing it back to Kawhi for the massive dunk on Giannis? Like, that is defense into offense, and it's hard to do. Like, a lot of times players in the NBA get crushed for not being good defensively, but the reality is, if your responsibility is to get points on the board or to create plays, that's a lot to ask to also then, have you play high level defense the entire time you're on the court. It's a lot to ask. It's a big ask, right? So playing that many guys, which is a style of play that OKC does, they wear you down. They wear you down. They wear you down. The problem is, I think that they thought the Pacers were just going to roll over and move on to game 2. And that part just didn't happen. We'll get there. Because I think the end of the game here was pretty interesting. Because in that second quarter, right, they had 6 offensive rebounds, did OKC, and 11 forced turnovers midway through the second quarter. But Indy was keeping it close. And they mentioned it on the broadcast a lot. They would talk about how dominant it seemed Oklahoma City was, but Indiana was right there, despite not playing well. And it's weird, the two styles of play, because one team is trying to wear you down defensively, right? Like, OKC didn't play great offensively in this game at any point, really. Maybe that burst from Jalen Williams in the fourth, maybe. But for the most part, it's not like they played great offensively. They're doing a lot of it off turnovers and steals and the stuff they normally do. That's their game plan, how they hope to wear you down. The Pacers are hoping to wear you down by, we're going to keep pushing the ball, pushing the tempo, pushing the pace, getting more possessions, keep getting shots up. and hopefully you tire out, or hopefully you take your foot off the gas while we're still going offensively. But again, second quarter, Indy's right there. Game seems like it's getting away, but they're right there. So even the threes for OKC putting on a clinic here defensively, it's like you think that you're open and then someone is contesting your shot and it just doesn't matter, right? Indy was keeping it close. Lou Dort hit back-to-back big threes. I feel bad for him because I thought he had a massive game where he had a bunch of big threes and then he had a chance late and he wasn't able to get that one to go. But at this point, Indy made a run. Lou Dort hits the three, made it back up to a 10-point lead. OKC was up 10, timeout, Indy. And OKC just makes all the hustle plays. And Indy is not used to that at all. SGA was battling with the bigs. Like, it was just a perfect start for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And they ran a great clip. And it's very rare, actually, that they run a good huddle sound. Like, most of it's very cliche. Most of it's, it's not really telling you much. But Carlisle was telling his team in the huddle, listen, you can't dribble it all the way into traffic. You can't dribble it when there's a bunch of guys around. You can't be trying to make plays when there's multiple defenders there. You can't be trying to make those passes. You can't do that against this team. And he stressed that. Don't worry. Just keep going. Stick with it. He said they're getting shots. Keep going. And guess what? He was right. It's almost like Rick Carlisle's been here before, and he's done it before, right? As mentioned, at the half, OKC was up 57-45. Shea had 19 points out, 8 of 19 shooting. And that's what I was saying, just being super aggressive. He wasn't going to be denied. He just had a really good start, but also had 4 rebounds, 3 steals, and a block, just showing you that he's in the game. OKC had 19 forced turnovers at the half, most by any team and a half in the NBA Finals in the last 25 years. And why is that of note? They forced 19 turnovers versus an Indiana team that was averaging 12 turnovers per game. They had 19 at the half. So the start of the second half, things looked kind of the same, right? Like, Haliburton takes 2 horrible threes. SGA gets the midi to work twice, right? OKC's making their push. Lou Dort hit another 3. At that point, he had 5 in the game. SGA finds Chetna rolling downhill for a dunk. Indies kept making a push. They cut the lead, but then Shea hits another 3 right before the buzzer. And at that point, OKC was up 85-73 after 3. SGA had 28 points. That's after the third quarter. So if I were to tell you, what do you think Shea finished this game with? Right? Shea still did his thing. He still had 10 points in the fourth quarter. It's tough, man. I feel for Shea because Shea had a really good game. He just didn't have enough left in the tank to make the plays at the end. And that's really, really tough. That's really unfortunate because he had a great game, 38 points on 14 of 30 shooting, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals. Like, just a great game 1 for Shea. Just couldn't do the MVP thing at the very end of the game. He just couldn't do it. To start the fourth quarter, things are looking good. Jalen Williams took over. He had like 3 straight buckets himself. There had a big time steal, throws down the dunk. Caruso making big plays. He had a huge and one. It's 96-82. And I thought the game was over at that point. Obi Toppin, though, keeps hitting threes, right? All of a sudden, it's a 7-point game. And you realize then this is key. This is a key part going forward. And I hesitate to say this because it's not that simple, but maybe it is. I feel like the Pacers, this is what I wrote before the comeback happened. The Pacers are going to win games in this series when they shoot crazy from 3. They can't really get into the paint, but if it was like a microcosm of how they're going to have to win this series. And it's going to be driving and kicking and hitting massive threes. And OKC on their side, they're going to have to just help and recover. The Pacers, other than Siakam, don't really want to get all the way to the cup. And you saw it, Most of their guys, even when OKC went small, don't get all the way to the basket, right? Lou Dort had a massive, massive block late on Neesmith. So it's like, how is Indy going to get their buckets? It's going to be on the perimeter. It's going to be hitting shots. On the way through this comeback, Miles Turner hits a bank three. He cuts the lead to 4. And this is the point where I'm like, call a timeout at some point if you're the OKC Thunder. Like, the run is happening, call a timeout. But he's trusting Shea, and I get it, right? Lead cut to 4. His team needs a bucket. Shea gets to the free throw line, right? Puts the team on his back. At that point, that was a 12-2 run before Shea got to the free throw line. Then again, 4-point game. This time it was Jalen Williams. Gets to the free throw line, put some points on the board for his team. It was 102-96 with 5 minutes left. The Pacers, this is where I thought the Pacers lost the game. Again, after the how many times I thought the Pacers lost this game. It was 102-98. Okay. And the modern NBA becomes such a tough watch for me sometimes because the Pacers swing the ball. They're kind of playing hot potato. Who knows who's going to want the ball? Siakam hot potatoes it to Haliburton. Haliburton drives, and it seems like he has the lane, but he kicks it out to Turner for 3. Turner misses. Shea comes down the other way, drives, hits a tough bucket. Could have been an and one, but they don't call it. That's okay. Froze in the air, gets a tough bucket to go. I'm actually okay with them not calling that foul because I thought Nembhard played good defense and went straight up, and Shea just made a really, really tough bucket. And then they come down the floor again. Haliburton misses another 3, and then Shea gets to the line, hits more free throws, extends the lead to 8, 106-98. And which led RJ to say about Haliburton, right? He said, we call that tour band. This is when you disappear and you pop back up, and then you got to put out your tour dates. And he's like, you can't be the best player putting up tour dates in the NBA Finals. That is hilarious. The tour date stat line. This was a conversation before Haliburton hit that shot. And then on top of that, while Haliburton was MIA, it was Nembhard making all the big plays for Indy. He hit a massive 3 to cut the lead to 3. Lou Dort with a huge block on Neesmith. He makes a block. Ball goes the other way. Shea takes it for 2. Then a 3-point game. Pascal with the block on Shea. Nembhard misses. Siakam gets a paint. He gets an offensive rebound. Makes it a 1-point game. And both teams looked gassed. And I'm stunned there's no timeouts called to give these guys a break. Give these guys a breather. You still have the lead. Drop a play, especially after you lose on the offensive glass. Make some defense subs. This is where what Richard Jefferson said at the start of the game, I kind of see what he's saying here, right? You started the game going to their, playing their game, which I understand. I totally get. That doesn't mean that at the end of the game, I don't know what my best 5 are, right? What's my best starting line? What's my best closing lineup for me to get a bucket when I need it, for me to get a bucket when maybe Shea needs some help? Who's going to get an easy bucket? You saw a lot in that Denver series. They would run the big man game. They'd run the high low, and that the alley-oop dunk, Hartenstein to Chet was there. I'm just saying, come up with something. And yet there's not much down the stretch. I want to watch the post game. I want to take in some more to see and rewatch that end of the game. But it was just really strange for me. But anyways, down the stretch, SGA misses the mid-range shot, up 1. Again, no timeouts called. It's just SGA versus Nembhard on an island. And this exactly, if you go back and watch that Denver game, the game that they blew to Denver early in that series, it's the exact same. Because I remember coming on the pod after that game, but it was after OKC was winning and they took the lead in that series, and talking about the fact that things just looked so different from the early parts of that series. In terms of down the stretch, it was a lot of just Shea on an island, whereas later on in the Denver series, in crunch time, they're running sets. They're running plays. So maybe Shea has the ball, top of the key, and it looks like he's on an island, but there's action going on. Someone else is setting a screen. Someone's cutting to the bucket. There's just something else going on. And that didn't happen here. And I flat out, like, those guys just looked dead tired. And that's not an excuse. It's not like there's no excuse, right? I'm not making excuses for them. I'm just laying out facts of things that I saw, things that it appeared to me, right? So SG on an island, he misses. Again, they don't call a timeout. They come back down the floor. I would love to go back and check, because that Dirk shot that I'm talking about, where he gets it, he has Bosch top of the key, has a massive move. I should look it up. But like, I should look it up right now while I'm on the pod. But I wonder if that was the same scenario where it's like not calling a timeout, or if that was a play out of timeout. But either way, Carlisle, credit for knowing his team, lets Haliburton go. And it's just Haliburton one-on-one with Cason Wallace. And Haliburton hits a tough shot, right? He hits a long two. He didn't do the whole, I'm going to step back for a three. He didn't try to, get all the way to the cup. He just got to one of his spots where he felt comfortable, knocked down the long two, gave the Pacers their first lead of the game with 0.3 seconds left on the clock. And that's how they won, kids. That's how the Indiana Pacers stole game one of the NBA Finals and now lead 1-0. Just an insane finish. Again, 111-110. The Indiana Pacers win. Tyrese Haliburton hitting, another biggest shot of his career. It's like he's had 3 of them in like the past month. But Haliburton hitting the shot with 0.3 seconds left in the game, leading the comeback charge for a Pacers team that, again, was down 15 points in the fourth quarter. They turned the ball over 25 times, and still, like, if I told you Shea led all scorers with 38 points, the Pacers turned the ball over 25 times, trailed by 15 points in the fourth quarter, and led and were from behind until the final minutes, you'd still take your chances with OKC being able to win this game, right? No. Haliburton quotes after the game. He says, "Man, basketball is fun. Winning is fun." Yeah, I guess so. That's insane. So Haliburton, right? I see someone trying to call him the new Mr. Big Shot. No. Anyways, so you got to tie in something with Reggie or something with Indy. I don't know. Something with Hallie. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but he can't be Mr. Big Shot. Can't do it. Can't do it. Won't do it. But I will say this. We'll read some stats here, right? April 29th, Indiana trailed Milwaukee 118-111 with 34.6 seconds left in overtime. Haliburton scored with 1.4 seconds remaining, and the Pacers won 119-118. May 6th, Indiana trailed Cleveland 119-112 with 48 seconds left and won 120-119. Haliburton got the game winner with 1.1 seconds left to play. May 21st, Indiana trailed New York 121-112 with 51 seconds left in regulation. Haliburton sent it to overtime on a jumper with no time left on the clock. Indiana won 138-135. And now this. Carlisle says, "We've had lots of experience in these kinds of games." Yes, you have. I don't know. That's just insane. Absolutely insane. I genuinely am stunned. And I'm rarely stunned by sports, but it's why we love sports, right? Because you have moments like this where you can be stunned by things, right? Things that you don't really think you're going to see. And then boom, there it is, right? Coach Mark Dagno said, "That's a really good team. Credit them for not only tonight, but their run. They've had so many games like that seemed to have been improbable, and they just play with great spirit, and they keep coming, they keep playing." Yeah, I don't know. What's Shea saying? Shea said, "We had control of the game for the most part. Now it's a 48-minute game, and they teach you that lesson more than anyone else in the league the hard way. Yeah. I don't like, again, the interesting part of all this is not only have the Pacers done this before, but OKC has been through this before and survived it. And I would say even in like, this is crazy, but that play, that Aaron Gordon shot where Chetna just misses the free throws and then Aaron Gordon hits the three to win it, that might be even a more deflating loss. I mean, it's not just because obviously that's the second round. This is the NBA Finals, but you get what I'm saying. I'm saying like in the moment, right? This is just an insane loss. But one thing we do know, Shea, as a leader, he's going to have these guys. They're going to put it behind them. They're going to understand it's just game one. They got to win game two. And, you know, the Pacers, you know how the Pacers play now, right? You know that you can't just let your foot off the gas. You know that you have to play the full game. If you're going to blow them out, but it's going to be hard to blow them out, right? OKC is going to also need more from their other guys here. So I mentioned Shea had 38 points. He took 30 shots. Jalen Williams had 17 points on on 6 of 19 shooting. Again, 17 points on 6 of 19 shooting. That's not good enough for Jalen Williams. Chetna only had 6 points on 2 of 9 shooting. That's not good enough. Right? You look down their roster here and you're getting to Lou Dort, Cason Wallace. As mentioned, he was in there for defense. Didn't get that much there. Hartenstein had 9 and 9 off the bench in 17 minutes. Do you need more Hartenstein? Possibly. It's just, you need more from the other guys. You need more scoring. You need Jalen Williams and Chet to be more efficient and just put more points on the board if you're OKC. And if you're the Pacers, I mean, listen, Siakam had 19 points, 7 of 15 shooting. Obviously, you hope for a little bit more from him, but I think the way that OKC played limited a lot of what was making Siakam elite versus the Knicks. Like, they took away a lot of his leakouts and, you know, a lot of the easy buckets that he was getting just from running the floor. And, you know, you didn't see that nearly as much as you did during the Knicks series. You didn't see that at all tonight, right? Most of what you saw from Siakam, you know, it was more within the flow of the offense. It wasn't like getting out and running. Let's get some more stats, though, some more reaction from online here. At M. Adams Stat Guy says, Tyrese Haliburton is the only player with 3 go-ahead shots in the final 5 seconds in a single postseason. He's got more of those in the 2025 postseason than Kobe Bryant had in his entire career. Since the play-by-play began in 1996, LeBron is the only player with more than Haliburton. And we know by now, LeBron has played how many years? Right? Oh man, it's just crazy. I can't believe what just happened. Like, I genuinely am rarely surprised by what I see in sports, but that's one where, I mean, I don't even know how, like, mentally you got to be so strong if you're OKC to be able to bounce back from that. This from Sportsnet Stats. Pacers 5 wins this postseason when trailing by 15 plus points is an NBA record in the play-by-play era, meaning since 1997. It's crazy. This is a good one. Wow. Since the 1997 NBA Finals, teams leading by 7 plus points with less than 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter were 117 and 0. Like, this is just crazy. Like, absolutely crazy stats everywhere. And, you know, because this is the Canada Hoops Daily Pod, you know, Shea finished with 38 points in this game. So Shea Gilgeous-Alexander set the NBA Finals record for points by a Canadian tonight, beating the previous mark held by Jamal Murray, who had 34 points in Game 3 of the 2023 NBA Finals. What a night of basketball. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? The memes are really funny right now. The Usher. So Thunder are sweeping the Pacers, Haliburton, and then the Usher meme of the watch this. Yeah, pretty good. I'm almost speechless, right? Shea says, we just got to focus on being better. This series isn't first to 1, it's first to 4. I like it. Shea's got his cliches ready to go. It's not rocket science. We lost game 1. We have to be better. Seems calm and cool. I'd expect nothing less. From Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That's just the kind of leader he is. That's just the kind of guy he is. I don't know. I just think I'm interested to see the adjustments made in game 2, because if you're Dagno, do you change your starting lineup and go back to your regular starting lineup? I don't know. Hartenstein only played 17 minutes in this game. The one thing I will say is late, there was no Miles Turner, so Siakam was basically the tallest person on the floor. And I think if you're OKC, you can't allow that to happen. You still have to play one of your bigs. I think Hartenstein can hold up and guard Siakam, or you figure something out. But I don't think you downsize all the way and let them play Siakam at the 5 and own the boards. Because especially during a comeback like that, especially in a game where there's a lot of missed shots, rebounding is so important. So I think you got to play your bigs in that scenario. All in all, though, I can't believe the game that we just watched. What an incredible finish. What an incredible game. So many people talking about coming into this game about ratings and talking about, big markets, and we need big markets. We need this, we need that. I mean, what more do you want? You had a massive comeback. You had Tyrese Haliburton hitting another big shot. You had the MVP putting up 38 points. That was an exciting game. That was a really, really, really exciting game. So thank you all for tuning in, as you always do, to the Canada Hoops Daily Podcast. Really appreciate you. Again, the Pacers, 111-110, as they take game 1 of the NBA Finals. The Pacers lead 1-0. I can't believe I'm saying that. Because the way that this series, was talked about heading in, the Pacers steal game 1, which, if you pay attention to basketball a lot, sometimes this happens in game 1, Always remember, I remember this because I made the video earlier when I put in the Allen Iverson clip about I'm the MVP. If you remember that finals, the Lakers were heavily favored as well. And that's a game where Allen Iverson went crazy in game 1. Sixers steal game 1 in LA. That's when AI hits a shot over Ty Lue and steps over him, right? I say that to say, sometimes game 1s, you get stunned and then reality kicks in. This is a huge learning moment for the Oklahoma City Thunder. This can either be the thing that sparks them to go on and win the championship, or you can end up like the Knicks, where you're going to forever be looking back and being like, man, what would have happened though if we won that game? You legitimately have so many Knicks people. I've seen people at first I thought it was a joke, but there's so many people with the legitimate take on the New York Knicks, especially after they got rid of their coach. And the take was, oh, well, if that game 1 didn't happen, you'd be going to game 7. And it's like, hold up. How do you think that is switching that one thing, having Halliburton's ball bounce out, changes everything else that happened after that? That's insane. I don't think that makes any sense. But I say all that to say the OKC Thunder have 2 choices, and I feel like they'll just get back on the wagon and everything will be good. And I mean, I had OKC in 6. So for it to be OKC in 6, that means the Pacers got to win 2 games, right? As Shai said, it's not rocket science. Again, my name is Sheldon Alexander. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thunder drop. They blow a 15-point fourth quarter lead to lose 111-110 to the Indiana Pacers. Tyrese Haliburton does it again, despite the heroic efforts of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who had 38 points in game 1, setting a record for the most points scored by a Canadian in the NBA Finals. But that's okay. He has a chance to surpass his own mark in the next game, which is on Sunday. And hopefully we'll be back and you'll be back. Let me know if you like the pod, if you like the post-game wrap-up pod. We'll figure it out. We can get something going. Maybe I'll get someone to come on with me and we'll chat. We'll wrap it up. Oh, see what I did? No, I'm making terrible jokes. It's time for me to go. As I always say, I used to pray for times like this, to rhyme like this. This is the Canada Hoops Daily Podcast, as always, unpolished and unapologetic. Until next time, see ya.